Hello everybody, I'm going to do a review on this Bosch laser distance measurer. This is model number GLM 50 and this has a range of 165 feet that it will measure. I picked this up at Lowe's and they retail for $99, and I had read on the internet a year or so ago that Lowe's and Home Depot were honoring Harbor Freight coupons. So I took a printed out 25% off coupon with me, went to the register, asked them if they accepted competitor coupons. The cashier said yes, and I submitted my 25% coupon, and she didn't know how to process it, so she called a head cashier and she keyed it in. So they sold this to me for $74.25 plus tax. So little information there. I hear that some will and some will not honor the coupons. It kind of depends on management and the staff, I guess, but at least at the one I was at, they did. Now it's for like kind items, of course. You know, you're not going to go in with a 25% off Harbor Freight coupon and buy a bunch of wood. But tools, they both sell tools. Harbor Freight is a competitor and they did honor that coupon. Little FYI. It did come with a case and a lanyard. And you can attach the lanyard and then you could lasso it around your wrist to free up a hand if you're in the process of taking measurements. My only complaint about the case is there are elastic bands on either side, which is okay, but it is very difficult to get this in there. Over time it will probably loosen up and it would work okay, but if you had this attached to your belt, you're going to be struggling with that at least until it breaks in. It of course came with an instruction manual. Highly recommend reading this because you're going to need to learn how to use the device. But I will take it through what I know. It came with a registration card. Now the warranty on it is 1 year from the date of purchase, or 2 years if you fill out and send this card into Bosch within 8 weeks of your purchase. So you can get a 2-year warranty on it just by simply doing that. I probably will not, but that option is there. As well as it stated in the warranty section that it has a 30-day money-back guarantee or refund or exchange. So if you're not satisfied with it, you're instructed to take it back to your retailer and they should refund your money within 30 days, no questions asked. I hope to not do that. I'm going to get in a little tighter and show its functions and what all of these keys mean, and then I'm going to do some testing on comparing it against a tape to see how accurate it is, as well as do some repeatability testing on it and show some basic things that you might be able to do with it. Now this is something I purchased specifically for me. I'm not in a trade like I'm specking out jobs or maybe measuring for carpet or things like that, but that really is why I purchased this, so I can quickly tape off rooms and get a good idea of volume, area, lengths, widths, heights, things of that nature with this tool. It's supposed to have an accuracy of plus or minus a 1/16 of an inch, and I don't know how far that means when it starts messing up, but in my in-close testing within 15 to 20 inches, it's dead on, absolutely dead on. So some of that variance may be, I don't know, weather, the substrate that you're hitting with it. It may not bounce the light back absolutely properly, who knows, and they may have been giving themselves some leadway on that tolerance as well. Okay, well I wanted to make note that it does require 2 AA batteries and it did come with them. That is the hole for the tripod mount. I'm going to go through some basic functions here and then I'll move into more advanced things and I'll just show the functions. Press and hold to turn on, and now it's on. It defaults to measuring from the back of the device, which is what this icon references, as well as just a straight line measurement. To change its reference edge, either the front of the device, the back of the device, or the tripod hole, that's what this button here is for. Just simply toggle through that button. You can see those changing. So put it up against your surface. We're referencing the back. press the red arrow one time, it will turn on the laser. Press it again, it'll take your measurement. And then the laser turns off. So that was 15 and 11/16 we just shot right there. You can change its unit of measure, and you can change that on the fly. There's inches with the fractions, meters. These are like tenths of inches, like 1.5 inches, 1.7 inches, feet and inches, and then back around to where we were. If you want to take another measurement, just move to the next one, start up the laser, press it again. And it'll store those two, and if you take a third, it'll store that one as well. To clear them off, let's say this first one right here I do not like and I wanted to reshoot it, press the clear button once, and then you can turn on the laser and take your measurement again. You can press once to clear that, press twice, clears out all the measurements. The next function, by pressing the menu button, we'll move into this dashed arrow right here. That basically operates just like a tape measure. Turn the laser on, and you can see as I move it, it is changing the measurement length. So let's say, for example, you wanted to set something, make a reference line on a wall, let's say 10 feet away and a ½ inch. Line it up on the wall, and then depending on your reference, you can make a mark at the back of the device. You can also lock this measurement in, which will come in handy in addition to in subtraction. So to lock it in, let's say we were at right where we're at, press the button and it'll lock that measurement in just like so. Pressing the menu button again, well, let's clear this out. Pressing the menu button again will take us to area right here. So I'll turn on the laser and I'll make one measurement. It's changed, and now it's wanting the second measurement. Let's say you're measuring for square feet in a room. And we're at 0.825 square feet, what I just did. I can clear that out. So now we're in the volume mode, which would be cubic feet. Turn on the laser, take one reference, take your second reference, and then let's say put it on the floor and point to the ceiling. And you can see we've just calculated 9.575 cubic feet. And then the last mode that it has is calculating height based on two given dimensions, which is the Pythagorean theorem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. We're going to measure this bottom edge, let's call it A, and then let's say we're going to measure the hypotenuse right here, and we're going to solve for x. So you would put this down on the ground, point it at the base of a wall, take your first measurement without moving the device, tilt it up, take your second measurement. So that's calculated out that this x we were trying to find, or the height of our little wall, is 4 inches and change. Now this works fairly well if you are 90 degrees to the surface and on the same plane. Meaning this is sitting on the floor and you're pointed at the base of a wall, and that wall is 90 degrees to the floor, and then you can get a fairly accurate height measurement. That's where the problem with the tripod comes in, and why I see no use for it in practicality. Because if I was to mount this on a tripod, obviously it's off the ground, let's say 3 feet. And then I point this down to the base of a wall and take a measurement. It's wanting that to be a 90-degree reference, and it simply is not. And then when you tilt it up to take the measurement at the top of the wall, your measurement is going to be horribly short. And I'll demonstrate this in a little bit, but it's going to be way short by the way that works. Now they have another model, which is a GLM 80, which costs more than twice the money, but it it can measure incline and angles, so when you're doing this type of a function with it, based on where it's at, it knows that angle that it's pointed downwards, and it can calculate all of it together to get you with an accurate measurement. So this would be okay for really rough measurements if you can get it down on the ground and not move it and do it properly. Other than that, you'll need a different device or get up with a tape measure. And this is by no means a replacement for a tape measure. This is to augment a tape measure. To tape measure out rooms by yourself is very difficult when they get quite long. And you might run your tape along the baseboard or something like that and take your measurement. Or if you're trying to do something overhead, you kind of need a helper in a way. So this is a good way to do one-man operations for measurements. Plus, if you have a room that is full of furniture, you can find some spot up in the air and shoot a measurement across the room without trying to have to string a tape behind furniture and things of that nature. So that's really a good reason to have one of these. So that pretty much takes care of all the functions in their basic form. To turn it off, you just simply press and hold this and it will shut off. And like I said, it should turn off in about 5 minutes on its own anyway. Now you can also turn it on by pressing this red button, and it will immediately turn the laser on and be ready to shoot a measurement. So I'll do that right now. Press it once, it's on, the laser's on, press it again, and I've just shot that measurement. So that's pretty cool, but it only works on this function because that's where its default is. Now let's get into some of its higher functionality, which is not much, just basically addition and subtraction, but it will come in handy. Let's say, for example, you were measuring around the base of a room to calculate how much base molding you needed. You can be on this mode, referencing the back or the front, either way. So let's clear this out and start from scratch. So we've got us on the base of a wall. We're taking a measurement, 16 and a 32nd. I'm going to hit this plus button right here. Now this plus is lit up. I can press the button once to turn on the laser. We just shot another measurement, let's say for a length of another wall. And then we can add these up by hitting the plus sign. And it has totaled these up into a total there. But if we want to add another measurement, you hit the plus sign again. It will consolidate that total to this line, and you can shoot another wall. And then hit the plus sign again, hit it again, and now we're consolidated. Now let's say we're going around the room and we decide we want to take some measurement off. We could go back to that surface and say, well, we're not going to use that here. Hit the minus sign. Now the minus sign is blinking. Shoot a measurement. It tells us what we just shot. We've subtracted it off, so now we're down to 31 3/4. Minus again will consolidate them. Now the clear button, if I shoot a measurement here and I'm dissatisfied with it, you can press the clear button once and it will take the measurement you just shot and you can shoot it again. If you press it twice, it's going to clear all your measurements out. So if you're doing a running total, room by room or something like that, whatever you're trying to calculate, be sure that you only press that button once, or you will have to start over or make notes as you pass each room. So I've pressed it once, but I still have that measurement. I press it again and we're cleared out. So you can use the addition and subtraction function on static measurements like this, the one that acts like a tape measure. After you lock that in, you can add and subtract. You can do it on the square footage or the area. You can also do it on the cubic feet. So those are all the functions on the device. They're basic, but that's all I wanted. It would have been nice if this did have the option built into it to make it work properly on the height measurement. if you're not referenced at 90. But again, that unit is more than twice the cost. Okay, I wanted to give a demonstration on exactly what I meant about trying to use that height function to solve for a height on a tripod. And this is why I say that tripod mount is useless. Okay, so I have it set up. It's on the tripod. I have it referencing the tripod as the point of view. It's right now wanting the bottom measurement. Now you're not going to be able to see what I'm shooting, but that yellow door back there I know is 80 inches. That's a standard door height. So I'm going to turn on the laser and I'm going to shoot the bottom of the door. And now I'm going to shoot the top of the door. And I don't know if you can see the screen, but it's giving me a final height of 30 inches and 3/16. So it's 50 inches off. Let's just strike the 3/16. So that's why I say this is useless in that manner. Okay, here's a test using the floor as a reference, and I have the reference plane being set to the back of the unit right here. So I'm going to shoot, since the door doesn't go all the way down to the floor, I'm going to shoot on the molding beside the door, and it looks like my door is about an inch off the ground, so we should technically get about 81 inches on this. So I'm going to take the first measurement, and then without moving I'm going to rock it up to the top. And it's hard to hold it still, but I'm going to try. And I'm at 79 15/16. That should be more like 81, so we're about an inch off right there. Why is that? The wall and the door should be plumb. I know why it is. My floor is not level. My floor runs way downhill from the front of my shop to the back of my shop. I'm probably about 2 inches to 2.5 inches low on the back end. And I would bet you from where I'm sitting over to that doorway, I'm about an inch off, and that's the inch that we're losing right there. So there's another prime example on where if you don't have a level surface that is in plane and 90 degrees to that wall, you're not going to get an accurate measurement. You know, that's fairly close, but it still is an inch. That's not plus or minus a 16th. So this is somewhat useless in my opinion. It would be nice if this had the features in it like the one that was twice the money to compensate for those with the inclinometer, I think is what it's called, where it would measure the incline or the angle, and then it could calculate that based on the distance between here and there and just square everything up for us and get an accurate measurement. But that's a buyer beware on that function. It does not seem to work very accurate unless everything is proper and 90 degrees. Alright, well I have my accuracy testing jig up here so we can test the accuracy of this against this rule. This rule should be really close and accurate. So I've taped it down to my workbench. That block of wood is clamped on. The rule's set dead on 0. I'm going to use this part of my combination square to pick some measurement. Then I'll slide this in and take it, and we'll see if they match. And then I'll do a few shots of different lengths here and see how close we get to this. Okay, well I'm going to do 2 tests in one here. I'm going to test for accuracy and repeatability. So I'm setting my square at 15 inches right now. Turn on my laser and back this in here and we'll snap a measurement. 15 inches on the nose. I'll take it out and do a repeatability test. Turn on my laser out there, bring it in, snap it. 15 inches again, and I suspect it will do that every time. Let's try it again just to make sure. And 15 inches again. Let's try a different measurement. Let's try 14 3/8. Turn on my laser. That's 14 3/8. Let's try that one more time. (14 3/8). Let's try 14 3/4. (14 and 25/32). Let me double check myself. Well, I moved it, so I don't know now. I think I have it right. 14 3/4 on the money. We'll try to do one repeatability on that. I may have moved my hand, I'm not sure. No, I didn't. 14 3/4. So at this stage, from this limited test right here on this short distance, it is absolutely dead on the money based on my eyes to a rule and what the results are. So I'm completely satisfied with it in that regard. Alright, well, my final thoughts and wrap up on this are: it is a great tool. It is very quick and easy to use and seems to be very accurate, with the exception of trying to locate an indirect measurement like using the height function. That needs a lot of improvement. I know they can't do that without installing like an inclinometer in here or something like that to be able to make the calculations, which is why they have the upper model of it, and it does a lot more functions than what I mentioned. Another thing that I noticed about it is the back edge on this overmolded portion is a 90-degree angle here, so you get a sharp point. So if you're measuring up from a floor referencing this back edge, and you could strike a line. But let's say, for example, you wanted to measure from a wall, from a ceiling, something along those lines, referencing this front edge. This is rounded over right here, so it'd be a little bit more difficult to get an accurate mark depending on the resolution you're trying to hit. So that's one thing I think they could correct or modify and make that a square edge on the front as well as the back to make them equally useful to each other. But all in all, it's no big deal. Now, using outdoors might be a big question. How well can you see the dot? That really does depend on the amount of light that's going on outside, but I did a little bit of testing outdoors earlier. Unfortunately, I can't show it because it's nighttime now, and I did have the ability to see it from about a 50-foot distance, 25 to 50 foot, maybe 35 feet, on lighter colored surfaces. Now, I shot it on my neighbor's house that had a dark colored siding, and I could not see it. But I do have some of these laser glasses that are just red glasses in essence. They did not come with it, but I had them, and that did allow me to see it a lot more clearly in the daylight. So depending on the substrate is how well you can see the dot, but these did help. But you really have to kind of figure out where it's at, and then you can chase it down and find it. Just a little FYI there, but indoors works great. It's nice and bright. I think it is worth the money to the right person. I am not a professional when it comes to using something like this, and I won't be using this professionally. I am a very, very hardcore DIYer. I do everything that I can do because if I can do it, I want to do it. So I purchased the right tools for the job along the way. But this is going to come in very handy for me to spec out materials that I need for my projects, flooring, drywall, molding, how much molding I need to mill to make my own molding, which is what I do. So this will be very, very handy and not have to try to run a tape out, and it'll be a lot faster. So I highly recommend picking one up, but just be aware of the downsides to it that I've mentioned. Hope this helps in some way. Sorry it was so long. There was a lot of detail to try to put in here. Thanks for watching and good luck.